If Israel laid down all of their weapons and
Yes.
said our military is no more, what would happen?
At this point in time, I don't believe they would come to a two-state solution after everything that's gone on.
No, that wasn't the question. If Israel disbanded its military,
Yes.
what would happen?
The Palestinians would take over, but they would
Oh,
let the Jews...
okay.
Listen, not forcefully. This is...
The entire crowd gasped because they know that it's not true. They know that Hamas says every single day, we are going to destroy all the Jews and destroy the Jewish state and push them into the sea.
This is how they operate. This is how Muslims operate Islamically. They let them live under them in jizya. They tax them and they let them live, and they take that tax and give it back to them. How do you think the Ottoman Empire worked and lasted 600 years? How do you think the Golden Age of Islam lasted and it lasted for 300 years? Because this is history.
So, no, I just want to make sure I understand. So they just take over mostly peacefully?
No, most definitely peacefully, because that's what
Can
their
you show
basis
me an
is.
example of Jews living peacefully under Islamic rule?
Most definitely.
Where?
When the Hamas had Israeli captives. Have you seen the
Israeli captives
Yes.
they killed?
They're not killed.
There was a 9-month-old baby that just got returned home as a corpse by Hamas. No, but I am interested by what you're saying. So it's again, this is why it's important on this topic to say on the moral domain, because all of your numbers are wrong. 65,000 kids have not died, and it's
I
just
didn't say 65,000 kids. I said 65,000 Palestinians, and 1.7 million have been displaced, creating one of the largest refugee
none of that is correct, and that's okay.
Okay.
It's fraction. I don't believe in the numbers.
And regardless, I mean, everything he said was completely discredited the second he brought up the fact that Hamas treated those civilians well, those, Israeli captives, Israeli hostages well. Unbelievable. They took these captives. They came back looking like, they were starved, and they supposedly treated them well. That's his example of Hamas treating an Israeli well.
However, the point is this: if Israel laid down its weapons,
Yes.
they would be eliminated.
No, they would not.
You just admitted they would take over Israel.
When I say take
If
over, did I say
Hamas
kill
laid
you?
down their weapons, we would
Yes.
have peace.
Most definitely not.
Because
the Israelis would keep doing what they have been doing. They have the right to resistance. They have a ceasefire currently, but prior to that, when anyone else in the world,
the emotions of this topic are very high.
Yeah.
Obviously, my allegiance is first and foremost to America.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it just from a moral standpoint, though,
Yes.
which is why is it? Help me understand. There are well over 40 Muslim majority countries in the world, over 1 billion Muslims. Israel is the size of New Jersey, and it has half the world's Jewry, about 7 million people.
Yep.
Why can't you just let Israel exist and leave it alone? Why the focus? Why the intensity? Why the anger?
There's no anger.
There's no anger?
Not from me. I'm talking about maybe other people. I don't hate anyone. I'm not displeased with anyone, but I don't believe in the unnecessary killing of people. That's not how we were raised.
I agree.
That's an American value and a conservative value.
I agree. That's why I think October 7th was the beginning of the unraveling of a lot of decency and conflicts.
But what do you think about all that spilling over prior? It's the same with the American Revolution.
I reject the premise.
You reject the premise?
I reject
okay.
I mean, to say that they had no choice but to go and kill a bunch of babies. Let me actually challenge the point. If you were correct,
Yes.
and Hamas was trying to resist,
Yes.
why didn't they go attack military targets and instead they attacked civilian targets? That's what terrorists do, right?
No? I don't know.
So if it was really like, hey, they wanted to resist, they should have went after IDF outposts and picked a fight with somebody their own size. They went after little kids in nurseries, in kibbutzes. And I think you have a moral right. Hold on. You're very well read on this topic. You have family there. I think you have a moral obligation to watch the GoPro videos. They're public.
I've seen. I will show you footage every day coming out of Gaza.
I've seen what you've seen.
I will show you everything.
But you equally I'm talking.
What I've seen, because then you wouldn't talk this way.
No, I've seen what you've seen. But I want you to look at the guys that for 3 hours straight were watching GoPro videos, laughing, putting babies in.
Okay, show it to me or send me the link.
No, I'm happy to. And the fact you don't even know it exists is very telling, because that's why Israel has become so aggressive in return. And understand the background.
Yes.
Is that the Jewish people have still not repopulated themselves to the pre-Nazi Holocaust levels.
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust?
How many people do you think died
I
in the
don't know.
Holocaust?
That's why I'm asking. I get so many different options.
7 to 8 million is
They
usually
say
the number?
7 to 8 million. I've seen 6. I've seen 2. I've seen 3.
Okay, so what number do
So,
you believe? And why does it matter?
Did I live back then? That's 1940, 1930s and 40s.
Does it matter?
No, I mean, regardless, it's a massive killing of them. But I
Was
don't
the
know how many
Holocaust
have
real?
died. Yeah, of course the Holocaust
Okay,
was
good.
real.
Then it shouldn't matter.
But how can you say they haven't repopulated to those times? How do you know?
Well,
Is there
again-
a record of the death?
Well, yeah, there is a record
Okay.
of the death, and so we know how many Jews that there were in the country and in Europe, and they have not yet been able to repopulate to those same equivalent numbers
Okay.
coming back. So I think we don't agree on anything, and that's okay. I would love to see an end to the killing. However, there needs to be three. Let me ask you my 3-part question, okay? Do you believe anti-Semitism is real, wrong, and evil?
I believe it is wrong, and I believe it exists, and I believe it's evil.
Okay,
yes.
good.
But
And
what-
Israel has
what
right to exist?
defines-
Oh, it's a super
okay,
easy
well,
3-point
let
question.
me pause right there and ask you.
It's not
What
that
defines a
complicated.
Semite?
A
And
Semite?
when did the term come about?
Well, a Semite
Yes.
comes from somebody from the Samaritan region,
Yes.
right?
Semitic peoples, which consist
Right.
of.
I could have finished the, answer. But yes, from the Samaritan region,
Yeah.
that is a term that has largely been popularized in the last 1500. So let me be more specific. Anti-Jewish hatred.
There you go.
Is that fair?
Yes, that's
That's
more
evil,
reasonable.
wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Israel has a right to exist.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. And that since we posit that Israel has a right to exist, that we need to come up with some solution where all people can live
A
peacefully in the
two-state
region.
solution.
Okay. Or a 1-state solution, or a 3-state solution,
Well,
right?
okay, then why can't they? If it's a one-state solution, why can't they live under the Palestinians peacefully, like they did previously?
I don't
they
want to
can
speak
live
on behalf
among
of
them.
Israel, but if a group of people go and murder 1,200 of your own people for no reason, I don't think I'm going to give them the keys to Jerusalem.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You saw how he got more extreme as it went on, and a lot of these advocates or activists try to posit a specific point, and then they go more extreme, and they get more extreme, and as they see they can get away with it, they go to a further extreme because they look at it. Oh, I can back up and still be considered not crazy, and still be considered part of the mainstream, or part of the general Palestinian movement. You saw he had doubts about the worst genocide in history against the Jews. He had doubts about, he obsessed over the fact that anti-Semitism is somehow some kind of definitional problem with that, when in reality, even if you do have a problem with that, what anti-Semitism means. You don't have to redefine it in order to condemn it. And then obviously at the end, this idea that Israel will give over the land to the Palestinians, is just insane. And the idea that Palestinians will want to live peacefully with the Israelis in a one-state solution is also insane. Because if you look back to 1929, you had the Hebron massacre where, people say, oh, Palestinians and Jews, before Israel existed, they were just living peacefully. Everything was good. No, they weren't. And there was still massacres against Jews. Mayor Kahana said it best. You lose a war, you lose the property, you lose, and we're not going to give you back, what you stole from us in a genocidal war against us. And Israel has done that in the past, and Israel will hopefully not continue to do that. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Thank you, and have a good one.